the business aspect of it, because it even in right before Easy died, people talked about how he reconciled with Dre and reconciled with Cube, and I don't know that time frame. I don't think, I'll put it like this: I don't think Eazy-E was on his deathbed when they reconciled. I think they had reconciled far beyond that because they were running into each other in LA. But for that reunion to happen, had Easy lived, the business would have had to been right, meaning that Dre wasn't going to do anything that involved Dre and Cube probably weren't going to do anything that involved Jerry Heller, and Eazy-E wasn't going to do anything that had Suge's involvement. So those two camps, those two people, really were hated by Cube and Dre and Eazy-E. So I could definitely see it happening as long as the business was right. And I mean, ultimately, that's what broke up the group. Bad business practices, people not getting paid, and I think that was the downfall. But outside of that, if the money was right and the business, everything was straight, and Eazy-E was still alive, I think it happens.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about it is that, like you said, the money thing is probably going to be the biggest hurdle. Mm-hmm. I would even think they probably would have recorded music and it may not ever came out because the business was one.
Yeah, until that was straight, I don't think you see those guys going in the booth. And it's unfortunate because like you had to pick a side. Eazy-E was on one side, Ren was kind of in the middle, Yellow was kind of in the middle, Dre and Cube were on their side. So it was, and Dre and Cube weren't cool for a while either. So the thing that always struck me about Eazy-E and N.W.A, those dudes strike me as guys who were friends. I don't know how long they were friends, but they strike me as not just guys who were just rapping in a group together. So, and Eazy-E, and to a man, everybody gives Eazy-E for being the catalyst for bringing it all together. I mean, he had the money, from the streets to put N.W.A together. But yeah, I think if the business was straight, I think there definitely would have been a reunion.
Yeah, and the thing is, the thing about is interesting about it though is, what would the Suge factor have been in all this as well?
Well, I guess it would depend. I guess it would depend on whatever business Suge had with Dre, because when Dre left the group, he went to Death Row, and then he was with Death Row for a while, and then he left Death Row, by all accounts, empty-handed, and started Aftermath. So it just depends. I could, if that reunion would have happened, I think it probably would have been Dre after Death Row, but still having no financial ties to Suge. And same for Eazy. Eazy was still, as far as I'm concerned, I think Eazy was still contractually still doing business with Jerry Heller up until the time he passed.
Yeah, that is, and the thing of, if you think about it with him even more, I could see him just trying to throw a wrench. And you got to think at the same time, Pac is going to get out of jail. I mean, he's already out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
He's already out of jail. Snoop is kind of teetering over there a little bit. Feels like a death row. Does he get to getting Pac to diss N.W.A in? I mean, this is so many crazinesses that could have happened in that scenario. Because I think it, and I wonder if Eazy, because was Dre already off of when Eazy-E died? Dre wasn't off of Death Row yet.
Death Row, no, he was off of Ruthless, but he wasn't off Death Row. So for that to have happened, because Eazy passed in 95.
Yeah.
And Dre was still that was prime Death Row time. And
Suge wasn't gonna let none of that happen.
No, and I mean, at that particular time, as far as we knew, everything was cool, because 95, they get Pac out of jail, and 96 comes, and All Eyes on Me comes. Mm-hmm. And then Pac unfortunately gets murdered in September of 96. So
because if Pac and them, you know what, you're right, because he would have to literally have done fast track what he ended up doing with Suge by just saying, like, I don't want none of my I don't want no rights to none, I don't care, I just want off.
Right.
He would have had to maybe fast track that if they were gonna, or wait. I mean, we'd have to fast track this whole situation.
Oh, most definitely.
But it would have been interesting with that. Now we take a turn to Ruthless Records.
Mm-hmm.
The record label of Ruthless Records, it never seemed to catch its wings as much as, I mean, and that's probably, and it's a lot of different empires, not just the record, that label, but it never got to keep its wings. Where's Ruthless Records at this point if Eazy still alive?
If Eazy's still alive, Ruthless still it still thrives. But I think it may struggle because you got to remember, eventually Dre leaves. See, Dre is also the missing piece there as well, because could Ruthless had survived without Ice Cube? Sure. Losing Dre was big, because that was their production. And it's not to say that Eazy-E didn't have great, because the post N.W.A album that Eazy-E did was dope album. I mean, because he had some smokers on there, and I bought it, and it's still, still rock, but it didn't have Dre. And so and I think a lot of people may have bought it because they're trying to see, of course he had the real motherfucking G's on that.
Mm-hmm.
And people were listening to see if there was going to be any more diss tracks or whatever like that. So it would have survived, but I just think not having Dre, Ruthless, it was going to sound different. But Eazy, man, I mean, he was a businessman. I mean, he went out subsequently after that and found Bone Thugs and Harmony. We'd never seen it or heard anything like that.
So I mean, because who was all on that label? I'm pulling up now. At the time,
it should have been probably Michelle A.
Was she still on there then? Or was she messing with
Suge
already? No, she was on Death Row. Remember, she's on Dog Pound album.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Death Row. Ruthless.
No,
okay,
no. I mean on Ruthless at the time.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So these were all the artists on Ruthless at the time.
Was JJ Fad on there? Were they still on there?
JJ Fad got off in 91. It says on here.
Okay.
So Cocaine, Above the Law.
Hey.
H.W.A.
Hoes with attitude. Hey, don't sleep on that Above the Law, man. Above the Law has
no. I mean, look, Black Superman is one of my favorite joints.
Talk to him.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, and 187 is like a dope producer too.
Mm-hmm.
He produced a lot of Rupert stuff on the low after Dre left.
Yep.
Bone Thugs and Harmony, obviously. Frost or Kid Frost, depending on how you want to.
Okay.
Name them. King T.
Oh, okay. Shout out to T.
Yeah. Cool 187 is the one that was producer.
Yeah, Cool 187.
Yep. And then DJ Unique was on there as well.
Okay.
Producer for Bone, newly known for Bone.
So not really a deep roster.
No.
Not
and
really.
I thought I read somewhere that will.i.am was on there at one point.
If he was, it was probably the it wasn't the will.i.am that we know.
No. Let's see. Yeah, I know, because I think in an interview he said that he was on Ruthless.
Yeah, I think he was. I just don't think he was in. I don't think it was that iteration. The iteration of
they were like IPs where the whole group was on Ruthless.
Wow, that I did not know.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, I knew he was. They were on there. They were another they started under the name Ataban Clan. Clan. And that was in 92 that they were on there.
Right.
So they were on there in 92. So, okay. That is what's up. Yeah, because I'm trying to look on here now because they have all the groups. At least it looked like they did.
Okay.
Another group they had on there that was like a low key, they had a little similar hit was a Menage a Trois.
Damn.
Remember they had a song called Cha Cha Cha. That was
I remember that.
It was big in my neighborhood on the box.
To be honest, that might be the only song they had. At least that's the only one I remember.
What's so crazy? I remember a couple of girls in my neighborhood bought the album.
Damn.
It was called Chilicious. Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
You had to be dedicated to buy those albums.
Yeah. But it was. I mean, it has. I'm trying to remember. I know Cha Cha. I mean, La La La. It's not Cha Cha Cha. It was La La La. Was one of the singles. I'm trying to remember. It was another song that girls used to play on here a lot. do what you gotta do.
Okay.
Yeah. This was Eazy-E was trying to figure it out, y'all, for the label. And Bone brought him back. Let's keep it 100.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
No disrespect above the law either, but they weren't going.
I mean, they were, and Bone gave us something different that we had not experienced or seen in the rap game at that particular time.
Yeah, and because Bone Thugs that was totally different. But let the Memphis brothers tell me from 3-6 Mafia. They said that they stole their style and vice versa. Then Chicago gets involved as well.
That's always going to be a debate.
Yeah. Everybody, the double time, fast rapping, I think they all created in their own way. I just stay
out of it.
Yeah, and I think they all created in their own ways, man.
Exactly.
It was just one of those ideas that they say no idea is original. Y'all all kind of did at the same time.
What if DOC never got into that car accident? What if Ice Cube didn't leave N.W.A? What if the Game never leaves G-Unit? What if Teddy Riley never moves to Virginia? What if we got that J. Cole and Kendrick album? What if the RZA would have never had that flood? How would the hip-hop world sound today? Welcome to Hip Hop What Ifs, the podcast where we dive into the biggest what could have beens in hip-hop history. From iconic album delays to game-changing partnerships that never happened. We reimagine the culture we love and explore its alternative paths. And you are now at Hip Hop What Ifs.